So recently I watched the 2025 Game Awards and I was in complete joy when Bandai Namco announced Ace Combat 8 Wings of Theve. And I thought for this video I want to share with everyone why I love the Ace Combat series so much. And I want to introduce you to the game that made me a fan of the series, Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown. So my history with the Ace Combat series actually did not begin with the 7th entry, as back then I was already aware of it growing up because my cousin had a copy of Ace Combat 4 and 6. Ace Combat 4 was my first look into the series being a thing, but I never actually watched my cousin play it, I just knew he owned it. Furthermore, despite Ace Combat 7 being the game that made me a fan, it also wasn't the first one in the series I played. No, that honor actually goes to Ace Combat X Skies of Deception on PSP. But I never really got far into the game as I think I only reached the second mission and I dropped it ever since. Plus, I was also a kid, so I wasn't really skilled at controlling my aircraft, so that was a thing too. But fast forward into the early 2020s, I saw Ace Combat 7 on sale via the PlayStation Store and I said, why not actually give the series a shot? I also had an interest and I was always aware of videos online and the series in general, so better late than never. And I'm glad I did, because ever since I played 7, I would go on to play other titles in the series, more specifically the PlayStation trilogy, known by many as the golden age of Ace Combat. I can't believe I missed out on Ace Combat 4, Shattered Skies, Ace Combat 5, The Unsung War, and Ace Combat 0, The Belkin War when I was a kid. Luckily, I had my PS2 still, and so I was able to play them. The only mainline titles I still haven't tried yet as of this video are Air Combat, Ace Combat 2, 3, and 6. I want to get into those other titles in future videos because I think they deserve their own spotlight, but for now let's dive into my memories with Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown. And before we begin, I'm not going over every aspect of the plot, but I will skim through it and talk about some key plot points, so spoiler warnings ahead. Alright, let's go. So, as I stated, I didn't really know what I was going to be jumping into, but that the story was complex and more than just plains dogfighting. I start off as Trigger, being a member of Mage Squadron and taking our first sortie. I'll admit, my first time playing, I used the casual controls, made for beginners since I wasn't good at maneuvering my aircraft at the time. However, I soon realized that the classic controls are way better and gives you more flexibility and is definitely the way you should play Ace Combat. If I recall, I believe I also played on normal difficulty my first time around. But I loved how detailed the world was and how much life the characters have. The first mission has us intercepting bombers and escorts, nothing too fancy, and it's essentially the stable tutorial stuff. But as the story goes on, I noticed how much of an importance the UAVs or drones are in this game. And it becomes one of the key plot points of this game, which to be honest, after replaying it multiple times, gets kinda boring. Like, yeah, I know it's part of the story, but I wanna fight other fighter jets, not these drones. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, Ojia and Erusia are at war. Anyways, during Mission 4, we try to rescue former President Harling, who played a key role in Ace Combat 5, only for us to mess up, and now we're sent to 444 for our mistake that we actually didn't do. But here we are, and we're introduced to new characters such as Count, which is one of my favorite characters next to Jaeger, but man, I'll be real, I don't really like the missions during your time with the 444. The other convicts can get annoying and Bandog won't give us a break, and of course, Solitary. For me, it also holds the worst mission in my opinion, Faceless Soldier, where you have to shoot down radar sites. It sounds simple, but if your aircraft is above the clouds for too long, you will get shot down by the anti-air missiles. I don't know why this mission gives me such a hard time, and playing on Ace difficulty doesn't help either. Plus, Bandog gets full bam killed, so there's that too. And I understand the reason, but still. The story for me really picks up when you finally join Strider Squadron, where interacting with your squad mates feels more engaging and your role is more meaningful. And by this point, you have more credits to use other aircraft. Speaking of aircraft, let's talk about that because I love all of the planes you can choose. So in order to get new planes, you need to spend credits and use the aircraft tree, which a branch gives you access to specific types of aircraft and upgrades, and if you want other planes not from that line, you have to follow another path. It's an interesting way of choosing which suits your needs and wants, but it mainly boils down to, do you want to use American-made, European-made, or Russian-made aircraft? In my first playthrough, I did lean towards the American aircraft because I saw the F-15C, and that was the plane I was most familiar with. But I also chose the path that gave me the Typhoon and Gripen, other personal favorites of mine. Plus, later on when I did my new runs, I did really like using the YF-23 Black Widow 2, especially with the wizard skin applied, and the Su-35S. Also, the Su-35S was really helpful during the Anchorhead Raid special mission because of its available special weapons, and the YF-23 was useful in pipeline destruction. Finally, I want to mention the FA-18E Super Hornet, which I used during Cape Rainy Assault. And on the topic of the Super Hornet, I love the Super Hornet and all of its variants. It's the workhorse aircraft, it's the Rhino, and I'm a big fan of the Aruja skins. Its multi-role capabilities grant you access to a variety of special weapons, and it's just a good looking aircraft in my opinion. The base game gives you access to only the FA-18F Super Hornet, which is the 2-seat version, but if you bought the Cutting Edge Aircraft Series set DLC, you can get the Block 3, an upgraded Super Hornet. And the Top Gun Maverick DLC gives you the FA-18E and its Top Gun Maverick variant. Slight tangent, but I'm so excited and thrilled that Ace Combat 8 will feature the FA-18 family as the hero aircrafts of choice. I think we'll start off with the old FA-18C Hornet and then make our way up to the Super Hornet, and maybe even go to the Block 3 later on. Regardless, as long as I get to fly one, I'm satisfied. Back to the missions and story to that extent, the missions during your time as Strider Team were the most enjoyable. And it holds my favorite mission, Fleet Destruction, because sometimes destroying everything in your path just feels so good. Stonehenge Defensive was also memorable because it's also a nice callback to Ace Combat 4's Stonehenge Offensive. And Cape Rainy Assault is just a fun mission running through the canyon and getting to the enemy base. And yes, I chose the Super Hornet because of Top Gun Maverick. So during this part of the story, Strider Team makes their way to Farbanti, Wiseman sadly dies because of Mihaly, and we finally have to ID every target since every IFF is not working properly. Long story short, looks like things aren't going well for our Strider Team. Originally, I didn't like the mission Last Hope because we had to check every target and we had to wait for the vehicle we had to protect in order to progress. And then we have to fight more enemy aircraft to protect the plane holding the princess. It just drags on, but nowadays I don't really mind this mission, it just takes a while for things to get moving. In Lost Kingdom, we finally take down Mihaly, and now we're off to the final 2 missions. We shoot down the Arsenal Bird, and in Dark Blue we destroy Hugin and Mugen and do the iconic Ace Combat Tunnel Run. For my first time experience, it's nerve-wracking, but it's not the most intense tunnel run in my opinion because of another title that I played later on, Ace Combat 5. But after that, the game ends and we get a Nagase cameo, which is neat. I didn't know who she was my first time around, but after playing AC5, it was cool for that brief moment. While we're on the topic of AC5, the Ghost of Rosgreaves is my favorite Ace Combat fighter squadron, but that's a story for another day. So that's pretty much what happens. And I didn't even touch on the music yet. Ace Combat's music in every title is iconic for various reasons. It puts on the atmosphere and intensity of the situation at hand, and in AC7's case, it did not disappoint. Daredevil, Archange, Enchanter, Alicorn, Bunkerbuster are just a few I want to mention. Even if you haven't played an Ace Combat title, listen to the soundtracks. They are some of the best I've heard in any video game franchise. And I really want to buy a vinyl record of Ace Combat Zero's soundtrack because that flamenco and all of its songs in every mission are just iconic. Except for Gladyston, I hate you. And when you're listening to these songs while flying an aircraft performing, pretty unrealistic missions to be honest, you feel something. You definitely feel that you're living in the fantasy of being a fighter pilot. And that's what Ace Combat 7 and all of its titles are about really. It's not really performing realistic scenarios, but rather living in the fantasy of what it means to be a fighter pilot. It's the imagination of being in dogfights with hundreds of planes all around you, going through tunnels with your plane, which is not something that you would really do in real life, but it is a cool thing. And also, we're launching F-15s off of an aircraft carrier, which is not a thing, but hey, Ace Combat, they make it happen, so you get to live those dreams launching your F-15 from an aircraft carrier. I know I'm rambling on, but anyways, should you play Ace Combat 7? Simple answer is yes, yes, and yes. It's more than just fighter planes getting into dogfights. The Strangereal universe is very unique, spanning many conflicts between different countries, with memorable characters that make the world very lively, and it's not just you being a fighter pilot doing mission after mission. And again, that music also adds to the emotion of the world that you're flying around. The best way I can put it Ace Combat 7, along with the other titles that came beforehand from Project Aces, has soul. And that's the key word that I want to use here, soul. And you can tell that Project Aces had so much fun making every single Ace Combat title. They made and they crafted a fun way to get yourself into a fighter jet and just roll through a world that is very unique in its own. And we're very lucky that we got Ace Combat 7, because there was a time period where Ace Combat was going in a different direction, and the last mainline title, Ace Combat 6, came out in 2007, so that was a long time ago. But Project Aces believed that there could be a new Ace Combat game, and even though it took many years, eventually Ace Combat 7 was released, and to this day it is the most popular in the series with so many copies sold, and I'm just glad that because of it we get a new entry in the series. And I think AC7 was just a breath of fresh air for everyone. Like, compared to other games that had a lot of microtransactions and things that just required DLC, and that's not to say that there wasn't any DLC in AC7, there was, but they focused on a detailed game built from the ground up. It took time and patience, but what came out was a quality product that I'm glad exists. So thank you to Project Aces, thank you to Bandai Namco and all of its developers that were involved that made this game happen. So please, play AC7. Give Bandai Namco a reason to let Project Aces keep making games. AC7 also goes on sale pretty often, so maybe give it a try if you're money conscious. That's how I bought the game, at least. And I don't regret that purchase whatsoever, because now I'm an eternal Ace Combat fan. That's pretty much all I have to say, and if you're interested in seeing more Ace Combat content, let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. But until next time, stay calm and stay chill everyone. See ya.